I'm Swanko with the QC. Hope everyone is doing well and having a great holiday season. Today we have a very special guest on the show, DeShuna Spencer. DeShuna, how are you doing?
I'm amazing. How are you?
I'm doing very well, thank you. DeShuna is founder and CEO of kweliTV, which we're going to talk about in detail today. But just to give you guys some background, just last month, kweliTV was honored among the top 10 best movie streaming services for 2020 by PC Magazine. kweliTV has been showcased in Deadline, Bloomberg, Digital Trends, Forbes, many other news outlets, and they also recently announced Get Out star Lil Rel Howery as their head of comedy, which is an exciting piece of news. So we'll jump right in. So, DeShuna, can you tell us about the genesis of kweliTV and why you decided to go down that route?
Yeah, it was just as simple as I think a lot of people who started companies, they have a pain point. And so my pain point was not seeing myself represented in the media. Of course, there've been for decades have been Black shows and Black movies, and some good, some not so. But I remember I was flipping through dozens of cable channels back in the day when I had cable, and I was like, I don't really see anything on the watch. This is garbage, and it was kind of like in my head, like, this is garbage. And so I was like, well, where are the independent films that I read about online? And so I got a very popular streaming service that most people have right now. And while there were definitely some films there, a lot of original programming, I was still missing those indie films. I was still missing a bit. And so, and I like history. And if you turn on history, the History Channel, like where's Black history? Even in February, you turn on Black History, turn on History Channel, and there's like no Black history. And so I was like, maybe there's a Black streaming service that will have all these things I'm looking for, these independent Black films that I read about online, that's from up and coming filmmakers from film festivals, and maybe there's this streaming service that has all these Black history films, these documentaries that you just don't see anywhere. And so when I didn't see it, then the light bulb hit off right there. It's like, maybe I'll start my own streaming service, which is not, I would say, a logical thing most people will probably think in their mind to do, because there's Netflix and Hulu, Amazon Prime, and there are so many behemoth companies. Disney Plus wasn't around at the time I had the idea. And so it was just me wanting to see something else that represented Black culture from the US and globally, and not seeing that, and just having this really strong desire, stronger than ever, one of the strongest desires I've ever had before my entire life, to build this thing. And I, eat, sleep, drink, this ideal, and I do every single day. But that's kind of how it all started.
Gotcha. That makes a lot of sense. And I think even from my experience with kweliTV, I know, I became aware of it somewhat recently as far as interacting with you and learning about it and going on there and, watching Shola Amu's movie, The Last Tree.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just telling, my cousins and other people that I know, like, I never would have had any awareness of that movie had I not went onto the kweliTV website and downloaded it and the app and watched that movie. And it's actually one of my favorite movies of 2020. So again, it's just one of those things where just trying to build that awareness. And I think it's a really smart idea when you have so many of these huge streaming services to try to niche down and try to identify, where are the opportunities and where are people not getting. How do you provide that content that people might not be getting on the more traditional streaming services? So, what is your vision for kweliTV moving forward?
Yeah, so our vision is always, I think, really big. So one of the things we're looking to do is definitely go more global. Right now, 19% of our customers are outside of the US, but we definitely want to expand that over the next 24 months. We have some ideas for creating these education, I don't want to talk too much about it yet because it's still very early stages, but
Sure.
we're looking at, increasing and sort of amplifying what we're doing to include education and interactive type things. And so hopefully in a couple of months or so, we'll be announcing some new additions to kweliTV as far as in the education realm as well as in the interactive realm. And so those are some things we're hoping to do. We're also really looking to increase what community means for our content and creating outlets for our filmmakers, as well as creating more space for our customers to interact with each other and really build community around our content and around our mission.
We're seeing a lot in the news, I think, just over the past really couple of weeks about, studios like WB and, Amazon Prime is doing it with Coming to America in March of next year, where they're basically going day and date with debuting their movies both in the movie theaters, but also the same day and date on streaming. Can I get your reaction on that, or how do you think that might affect kweliTV in the future? And just what are your thoughts on the industry kind of making that shift?
I just think that, like with any industry, things change, technology changes, and I think for a lot of streaming companies, they're starting to realize they need to change with the times. I think some people are afraid, like the AMC's of the world and Regal's, like, oh my God, that's going to crush, our business. But I think that there's still a place for cinema. People still want to gather. I just think that for now, because of COVID, it just makes it easier. A lot of these studios are basically holding off on releasing their films for that big payout in the theaters. And so Mulan was a really good example where they decided to kind of pay like this kind of theater type price at home, and then and then
$30.
expanded it. Yeah, I mean, I didn't pay. I didn't pay. We didn't pay for it in Spencer household, but I do know a lot of people who did, and so because they want to watch it early. I think HBO Max is doing a little bit different, where they're just going to put it actually on the streaming service as a part of it. I have HBO Max, so I'm definitely looking forward to some of those films, getting an early look at it. And so I think it's just a sign of the time. I don't think it's going to hurt those companies in general, like AMC or Regals. What I think is that it will force them to create a different experience. I'm not sure if you watched the series The Man Who Built America. Have you seen that series or heard
I
of
have
it
not
before?
seen that one. No,
Have you heard of it?
I actually have not.
Okay, so of course, who really built America? America's built on the backs of Black people, from slaves. But this documentary talks about J.P. Morgan, Vanderbilt, Carnegie, um, who else I'm missing? I say Vanderbilt. I think I'm missing a few people, but it's like some of the early like multi-millionaire billionaires in America. Ford is included in there, and so Rockefeller. And so basically, it talks about sort of how they built America, and America's pretty much built, besides our backs as our ancestors, by these group of men who were just trying to innovate over each other, and some of them lost because they were so gung-ho on keeping things the way they were. I mean, others like, let's innovate, let's create something different, and those are the ones who won over time. And so I'm saying all this to say that change is very scary, and I think that it's an opportunity, I think, for a lot of companies to think outside the box and what is an experience to me outside of being at home? Like, how can we make this experience better for people to want to come inside? And so I think that will be sort of my hope, is that some of the theater companies will sort of think outside the box. People always want to see Thor and Avengers in the theater. They're going to the surround sound. They're going to want that experience. But the rom-com, maybe not so much unless the one's out of date. So I just think that it's a sign of the times. It's hard, like as a journalist, like of course, like when media companies were during the early 90s, when the internet was starting out and media companies just plopping their stuff for free, I wasn't at an age where I can say, hey, this shouldn't be for free, right? We should. But I'm there looking back on, it's like, wow, we should have from jump had people pay, like the New York Times and all these other publications, for the content, versus assuming that the internet wouldn't be a threat. And so I think that, and it is for every industry, and every industry just has to figure out how to incorporate, their mission into this new ecosystem that we're in to stay alive. But like radio, I think that people think, oh, once TV, people started buying TVs back in the day, oh, radio's going to die. But people still listen to radio. It hasn't gone away. It's just, it changed.
Right. Yeah, no, I think you make some great points there, and we've talked about this notion on this show about how the movie industry is going to change, and to your point, really, it's like any other business, it's going to have to look at what's happening in the marketplace and what people are demanding, and adjust, and if they don't adjust, they won't be around. But I don't think theaters are going anywhere. They're just going to have to kind of change their thinking and try to figure out creative ways to get people that if you can watch a movie at home, how are you going to get someone to now come into the theaters and maybe watch that as well? So they'll have to change or die, as the saying goes in business. So can you tell me a little bit about any upcoming new releases that are coming to kweliTV, or content on there now that you'd highlight for our users to watch?
Yeah, and in addition to The Last Tree, which is a really great point, there are a lot of great films on kweliTV. One great documentary right now is on kweliTV only, and it's called Crawford, the man that the South forgot, and it's about a man in South Carolina who was extremely wealthy, and he unfortunately was murdered by white mobs. It's a story time and time again of Black people acquiring wealth in the early days after Reconstruction, acquiring wealth, acquiring land, and white people being jealous. And so it's not a gory documentary where it shows like things that will trigger people. It's more educational, and I see that film as a really good lesson for us. And I really see it as like, if we would have had the opportunities, if these different mobs, and whether it's Tulsa or Wilmington, North Carolina, or other parts of the country, if they weren't jealous of us sort of growing so fast, despite everything our ancestors went through slavery, it makes me think, how will we be economically as a community? And the documentary kind of touches on that, where it's one woman, her sole goal was to honor her great-great-grandfather, who was this person who was wealthy, and she basically, one woman show, trying to get him honor, and at the end of the documentary, she finally was able to have him, he had a place in the city where people could honor him and the work that he did, and at least trying to change generational wealth. But his family also did talk about like, where would we be right now if this would have happened to our ancestor. It's a very short documentary, it's like 26 minutes, so it's a really quick bite. Another good film is called Africa United. It's based in Rwanda. And I always mention this film because when people think about, you say the word Rwanda, people automatically think of genocide in the movie, in various movies. It's like a negative side of Rwanda, but this movie is really about a group of kids who like soccer, football, as they like to call it there, and they want to go to the World Cup. And it's just a bunch of them through hella high water. They're gonna get to the World Cup. So they walk, they boat, they hitch rides, they do all these things. It's like a little journey to get to the World Cup, and they do eventually get there. And it's a really good, heartwarming story of a group of kids who just like regular kids in Rwanda. They're not malnourished, and it's just a good film, and it's funny, and so and it's for the entire family. And so that's another great film I think that people should check out. As far as some things that we're looking, and honestly everything on the platform, we're curators, so we have children's programming. There's a Black History series that really gives kids a unique way of learning our history, just out, not just here in the US but outside as well. But some things in the future, we are looking to expand. Rel is going to be releasing some new content. He released his first slate of titles this past week, and they're amazing. One is a Tanzanian series similar to The Simpsons, but more family-based, a comedy about an immigrant family from Tanzania. They're just trying to find a way in America, and some of the bumps along the way of being immigrants, and even some of the challenges as kids in a comical way about going to school in a predominantly white setting. And so it's a really funny take on being an immigrant, living in like in the U.S. and navigating this scenery. So it's a really good series, and so many others. But we're looking forward to Rel adding more content on the platform, and as well as hopefully we'll be doing some original programming in the near future. We will be opening up hopefully soon a crowd equity round of funding, where we're going to be allowing our customers, our fans, our filmmakers to invest in the company. It's not like they're going to just get a t-shirt and a thank you, but they will actually get shares in the company. And so we're hoping yeah. And the reason I decided to go that route is because we've had so many customers reach out to us saying, I've never owned anything. I wish I would have been on the ground floor of Netflix or on the ground floor of Facebook, and we could be an opportunity for them to do that. And so, and we could build generational wealth, right? We could go public, and then all these Black people who were part of our equity round could actually say, we own this, and it's in the stock exchange. And so I'm really excited about what that could look like. And so we'll see what happens with it.
Okay, great. No, that's really exciting, and look forward to seeing where that goes and promoting it here on the QC. So, DeShuna, thank you so much for coming on the show today. Really appreciate having a conversation with you, learning more about kweliTV and about and about the great programming you guys have on there. For our viewers, encourage you to go to kweliTV, to search kweliTV and download the app to your streaming service of choice, and start your 7-day trial today and check it out. Thank you again, DeShuna. Hope to see you again soon.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Have a nice day. Bye.